I always leave it till the end of the year to look at the books that are coming out the following year. So when I sat down to do the research for this video, I was basically just bombarded with all the amazing books coming out in 2024, and there are a lot of them. So today we're going to be looking at over 30 of the anticipated releases, for my anticipated releases, but also your anticipated releases for 2024. Is it Vlogmas Day 10? It's Vlogmas Day 10. Happy Vlogmas Day 10. This is actually the last Vlogmas video I'm filming. It's been a great series. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've got all of my books written on my Notion template here and their release dates and stuff, so I'm going to be referencing this back and forth. But I've basically split this video into two parts. We have got part one, which is my anticipated releases, which is all the books that I was either already excited about or am now excited about. And then we've got part two, which is your anticipated releases. So I asked on Instagram for people to give me the books that they were really excited about. I've made a list from that. Some of those have now gone onto my anticipated releases, but I'm going to basically be summarizing those with literally like 3 or 4 words for each book and giving you their release day. So that's going to be like more of a quick fire section, just in case they're books that might interest you. These are in release order to my knowledge. Release dates can change, but at the moment, a lot of these, in fact, we don't have anything beyond August. So most of these are in the first half of the year. A lot of book releases in February, a lot of book releases. Publishers must be very busy in February. A massive shout out to the WATERSTONES website for providing me with the information to allow me to summarize these books in like a short paragraph. They have a little summary themselves at the start of most blurbs, which is incredibly helpful rather than me trying to paraphrase one whole blurb. We're going to start off with one that is coming out incredibly soon, and that is Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. This is the sequel to Divine Rivals, which is a historical fantasy taking place during a magical war following 2 rival journalists. It's an enemies to lovers romance. We see them trying to become war correspondents and also communicating through typewriters. The first book was so good. I enjoyed it so much, and the fact that this one comes out on the 4th of January is incredibly exciting for 2 reasons. 1, because I don't have to wait long for the sequel, and 2, because I'm actually going to remember the events of the first book when going into the next book in a series for once. I am horrendous at remembering the plots for these books, and every time I start a second book in a series that I've been really excited to read, I'm always met with this feeling of like, oh my god, I can't actually remember anything from book 1. So the fact this is 4th of January means I don't have long to wait, because I only read book 1 last month. There's a reading vlog. I'll pop it up here if you want to go check it out. Obviously with Ruthless Vows, I'm not going to tell you what that one is actually about because I don't want to ruin the first one. Next up is another January release, and it is The City of Stardust by Georgia Summers. This one comes out on the 25th of January, and this is for fans of the 10,000 Doors of January. How many times could I say January? The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue and The Starless Sea. I have an arc for this one, and I would really like to try and read it before the release date. I don't know if that's realistic or not, but this is following our main character who's on a quest to find her missing mother and break a generation's old curse. I'm trying to give you vague summaries to these, otherwise I'm just going to talk for ages, but it's a fantasy. It's got a kind of mystery entwined about it, and it looks like it's going to be really magical and enchanting. On January 30th, we have got House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. I actually didn't click that we had book 3 in the Crescent City series so soon until it was mentioned to me, and I had this like revelation moment of like, oh yeah, I actually can't remember when we got Crescent City 2. It's all kind of blurring. Was that this year? Was it last year? I don't even know. But this is Crescent City 3. I can't really tell you what is happening in this one because it would spoil both Crescent City 1 and Crescent City 2 if you haven't read those. But the series as a whole, there's fays, there's epic fantasy elements, there's romanciness to it as well. This third one I'm very excited about for reasons of at the end of the second book. I just think this one is going to be it's going to be a lot. Into February and the many, many, many books that are coming out, we have got The Fury by Alex Michaelides. This is coming out on the 1st of February. This is following a movie star who is throwing a party on an isolated island, and there's a killer, so we've got the kind of thrillery element to it. I read The Maidens by Alex Michaelides a few years ago, and I know that people really didn't like that book, but I actually had a fun time, okay? Like, I'm not going to say it was without its flaws, I'm not going to say it was exceptional, but I did have a fun time reading it, so I'm quite excited for this one. I haven't yet read The Silent Patient, but I know I need to get to that. But I think that The Fury sounds like an interesting idea. I like the idea of the isolated setting, but also I feel like this is going to have a really fun cast of characters about it as well. On the 6th of February, we have got The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. When I read the plot of this one, this is one of the ones that was suggested to me on Instagram. The line, "This is an unusual crime. It definitely is. Featuring an officer who dies from a tree spontaneously erupting from his body. This is following an investigator and a very strange mystery, and I'm excited. The Family Tree by Sherry S. Tepper is one of my all-time favourite books, and that kind of has this environmentalist fantasy element to it, and this kind of gives me slightly similar vibes. I don't know if it really has them or not, if that's just me trying to string connections together, because The Family Tree, nobody ever really talks about that. I haven't really come across anyone else that's read it. It's an incredibly old book, and I don't even think it's in print anymore. My copy's definitely a second-hand one, but it's got the tree element to it, and this is very interesting. Why does a tree spontaneously erupt from their body? Like, how does that happen? I have questions. I mean, that would be a very interesting Grey's Anatomy episode. This one's coming out on February 6th. On the 15th of February, we have An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson. This is following two students who are drawn into the unusual orbit of their poetry professor and their search for knowledge. It's a dark academia. It's a romance. It sounds like it's going to be super atmospheric. Honestly, the dark academia side of the poetry professor element, that is what I am here for. That is the thing that's really pulling me in. I am also being drawn into the orbit of this book. I love it when there's a thirst for knowledge and a passion for knowledge in books. I mean, that's the whole point of dark academia, that has that theme running through it. This one sounds great. I'm excited for this one. This next one I have heard so many good things about. This is A Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Faisal. This one comes out on the 22nd of February. The plot for this one just sounds impeccably chaotic. It is a crime dark fantasy mashup that's following a group of outcasts who are taking on a heist to try and save a tea room that's actually a front for vampires seeking fresh blood. There's just so much going on in that one sentence alone, and I'm excited. This one comes out on the 22nd of February. We are getting a new Melissa Albert book in February as well. This is The Bad Ones and is coming out on the 22nd of February again. Melissa Albert wrote The Hazelwood, which I really enjoyed, and then the sequel just flopped for me. I did not get on with the sequel at all. So I'm interested to see how I feel about this one, but I feel like this throws me back to my OG Bookstagram days a little bit. And the vibe of this one, it definitely sounds like it's got an interesting thread going through it. It's described as House of Hollow meets Good Girl's Guide to Murder, which is an interesting mix, and it's a supernatural thriller following 4 disappearances in a haunted house with a sinister magical history. I love a horror element, I love the mystery element entwined there as well, so I'm quite looking forward to this one. I'm assuming this is YA. I mean, I have done the research for these myself, but I didn't write that down. I think it's YA, given that it's saying House of Hollow and Good Girl's Guide to Murder as like the mashup. On the 29th of February, we have got Fathom Folk by Eliza Chan. I hadn't heard about this one until I did the research for this video, and this sounds so good. This is an East Asian mythology inspired fantasy in which we have humans coexisting with these sea creatures, but I think it's like magical sea creature things, and their existence is threatened by the rise of dangerous extremists. So again, we've got another environmental commentary potentially going on here, which I think sounds like it's going to be a really interesting theme mixed in with the fantasy. So I'm looking forward to this one as well. My wish list is just growing and growing and growing, honestly. Like, I'm not even, we've got so many books still to talk about. Stuart Turton has a new book coming out as well on the 28th of March. This is The Last Murder at the End of the World. This has a very interesting concept. So this is set on an island where like what's left of the world is on this island, and there's this security system that seems to kind of keep everything in check. And after a murder of one of the scientists on this island, with a population, by the way, of just over 100, so it's pretty small, the murder of one of these scientists like lowers the security system, or something happens with the security system that also causes everyone to lose their memories. So even the murderer doesn't know they're the murderer. That is how you put a different spin on a whodunit type of story. I'm very excited. You've got the isolated setting, you've got the end of world type of situation, and then the murderer doesn't even know they've done it. So I imagine this is going to be a book where I'm just constantly guessing. I haven't read, and no, I have. I was about to say I haven't read any Stuart Turton, but I have. I read the, what was it, the 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. It came out at the same time as The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and it just, those two titles together, they hurt my brain. I actually DNF'd that one, but then I bought Stuart Turton's other book, which I can't remember the name of right now. The cover, I have the cover in my head. Actually, it's right down there, I think. The Devil and the Dark Water. So I bought that. I haven't read that yet. So I actually, currently my track record for this author is 1 DNF and 1 TBR. but this one, it sounds good. It's on my wish list. On the 28th of March, we have Murder Road by Simone St. James. Again, I have got a Simone St. James book on my TBR. I did start it in October and I realised it wasn't as spooky as I wanted, so I temporarily put it down purely because I just wanted to focus on reading spooky season books, so I need to get back to that at some point. But this book is following two people in a car who stop to pick up a woman who seems in distress on the side of the road. They take her into the car and then they realise that she's bleeding or covered in blood, and she then says, hang on, I've got to quote this from what I've written down, "I'm sorry, he's coming." Waterstones have said that this is going to be the scariest read of 2024. You know I'm here to find the fear, so, oh, that rhymed. So of course this was on my TBR. Oh, this is such a big wish list. Why have I done this to myself? On the 2nd of April, we have got the reappearance of Rachel Price, which is Holly Jackson's latest book. I really enjoyed the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. Well, I enjoyed 2/3 of the series. I didn't love the last book, but I still think it was a really fun YA thrillery mystery. This book is following our main character's mum, or our main character / her mum. Our main character's mum went missing 16 years ago. She is 18 now, and there is a true crime documentary being made about her mum's disappearance. And just as the documentary starts to be filmed, her mum reappears. I just love Holly Jackson's mystery writing. It's always slightly creepy and very atmospheric, and yeah, I'm excited for this one. Skandar and the Chaos Trials by A.F. Steedman is coming out on the 25th of April. This is the 3rd book in the Skandar and the Unicorn series. I don't know how many books this is going to be, but this is a series following Skandar, who is one of the lucky few to hatch a unicorn and then become a unicorn rider and basically go on the path to becoming a hero. This series is so much fun. It's got a little bit of a Percy Jackson-esque element about it. Now, I have actually only read book 1, but I'm still popping this on the anticipated releases because I do intend to read book 2. It's such a fun middle grade series. It was the Waterstones Children's Book of the Year for 2022, and I read it within the video where I read the Waterstones Books of the Year. Again, I'll link that up here if you want to watch it. But it was just such a fun, good, epic adventure time. So I'm looking forward to reading book 2 and then book 3. Another one I'm excited for is Amari and the Night Brothers book 3 by B.B. Alston. This is apparently coming on the 4th of July. However, there's no blurb or anything for this yet, so I don't know whether to take that date with a pinch of salt. But this is the 3rd book in the series. I have read book 1 and 2 in this series, and honestly, it's just such a good time. We're following Amari as she enters into this world of the supernatural and becomes a student at the Bureau of Supernatural Investigations, where she can become part of this supernatural world as like an agent of sorts. It's a really fun series. There's an overriding like big plot that's happening, but then you have all these little things that are happening as well in the whole supernatural world. It's incredibly imaginative, and I'm really looking forward to book 3. I hope the 4th of July is the release date, but given that there was no blurb or anything, I'm not sure. Another one that doesn't have a blurb is One Perfect Couple by Ruth Ware. This is apparently coming out on the 18th of July, so that's all I can tell you. But Ruth Ware writes thrillers. I have a love-hate relationship with Ruth Ware's writing. That's a difficult sentence to say. I really enjoyed One by One because it was just the isolated thriller vibes that I really wanted. And I think it was probably one of the first isolated thrillers that I read and has kind of got me into enjoying reading isolated thrillers. I know a lot of people didn't like that one as well, but it was one of those books where it was just good fun. And then I also enjoyed The Turn of the Key, but I didn't enjoy, is it called The Death of Mrs. Westaway? Didn't really enjoy that one. And I think there was another one I didn't enjoy as well, but I do have 2 other Ruth Ware books down there to read, so I probably should read those before getting to the next one, but apparently this one's coming out on the 18th of July. The final book on my list is Death at the Sign of the Rook by Kate Atkinson, and this one is coming out on the 29th of August. Death at the Sign of the Rook is a literary thriller that is following Jackson Brodie, who is a character from a previous book. Now, I haven't read the previous book. I don't actually remember which book it is. I haven't read any Kate Atkinson actually, but I have got some on my TBR and I would like to read Kate Atkinson, including this one, but I don't necessarily know if it's going to affect my reading experience not having read from this character before. I feel like it's because it's kind of a literary investigation type of book. It's more that we would have just seen another one of this character's investigations and hopefully doesn't really play too much on what's going to happen in the plot of this book. But from the look of the blurb, it does look like one that I can hopefully enjoy separately without having read the other book that features Jackson Brodie. This starts off with kind of cozy crime vibes with Agatha Christie-esque characters who are all snowed into this country house. They're very much like the stereotypical types of characters that you would get in a cozy crime mystery, so then I assume some murders start happening. I like the idea that this is kind of playing on that genre, and that is what made it appeal to me because I think it's going to be quite cleverly done. That's it for my anticipated releases. The rest of these ones are all the ones that you guys suggested on Instagram and said that you were looking forward to. I wanted to include them in the video because first off, I got so many amazing suggestions on Instagram, so I wanted to be able to try and collate them all and let you know about them. But also, just because something isn't on my anticipated release doesn't mean that it's not going to be exciting for you. So I've got a list here of all of the books and their release dates. Again, these are the release dates that I found via WATERSTONES, but if they are changing, then this is what they are at the time of filming this video according to WATERSTONES. And then I basically put a couple of words next to each book describing it. So we're just going to go through this quite quickly because I don't have all the blurbs for all of these because we would be here for a very long time. To be honest, I'll probably end up getting some of these as well, but they weren't the ones that were like absolute top of my anticipated list. I've attempted to do this in release order. I think I've successfully done it. So we've got Feybound by Sarah L. Arafi. This is a fantasy featuring a Fey court and it comes out on the 18th of January. Emily Wilde's Map of the Other Lands by Heather Fawcett. This is the second book in the Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, which comes out on the 18th of January. Now, I think if I could read that first book, that might change to go on my anticipated releases, because the first one, it really gives me like Spiderwick Chronicle vibes. It gives those kind of vibes. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but it definitely has that kind of atmosphere about it, and I would like to try and get to it. I know a lot of people love it. Invocations by Crystal Sutherland, which is a feminist dark thriller, and that comes out on the 30th of January. Into the many books that publishers are giving us in February. If You're Lucky by Stacey Willingham. This is a psychological thriller with dark secrets, and it comes out on the 1st of February. Tales of the Celestial Kingdom by Su Lin Tan. This is 9 short stories steeped in Chinese mythology and folklore from the same world as Daughter of the Moon Goddess. This comes out on the 1st of February. Now, I have read and enjoyed Daughter of the Moon Goddess, and I haven't yet read the sequel. I actually started the audiobook, or tried to start the audiobook for it this week, and realised that I could barely remember the events of the first one, so I think I need a good recap before moving on to the second one, and then before considering adding this one onto my TBR as well. The Phoenix Crown by Kate Quinn and Janie Chang. This is a historical fiction about 2 entwined lives, and this is released on the 2nd of February. Bride by Ali Hazelwood, which is a paranormal romance between a vampire and a werewolf, and this comes out on the 6th of February. At First Spite by Olivia Dadd. This is an enemies to lovers romance, and it comes out on the 20th of February. A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. This is a Norse legend inspired fantasy romance, and it comes out on the 27th of February. My god, publishers are getting a lot out in February. Empire the Damned by J. Kristoff. This is the sequel to Empire the Vampire, and WATERSTONES described this as the pulsating sequel. Nice. This one comes out on 29th of February. Now, I did read the first Empire the Vampire. I actually read it in a weekend for Bookoplathon, like a Halloween weekend. Did I? I think I did. Yeah, did I vlog it? If I vlogged it, I'll pop a link up here if you want to go watch that. But I don't know if I'm going to continue with this series. I haven't ordered it. I don't think I will. I'm going to see how that one sits with me. Another one that I'm kind of debating whether I put on my own wishlist or not is The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. This is a dark fantasy set in Spain's golden age, and it is released on the 11th of April. I know a lot of people are going to have this one on their anticipated releases, but I don't know, there's something about the plot that isn't sucking me in. I just don't feel too excited about this one yet. That may change, but at the moment, I'm not too bothered at the moment. To Gaze Upon Wicked Gods by Molly X. Chang. This is an epic anti-colonialism YA fantasy, and it is out on the 18th of April. Song of the Six Realms by Judy I. Lin. This is a story about the dark past of the Celestials inspired by Chinese mythology, and Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, which is probably one of my favourite classics. So I'm kind of intrigued by this one. I didn't put it on the anticipated releases, but I might have a flick through this in a bookshop when this is out. This one comes out on the 23rd of April. Icarus by Kay Ankrum, which is a queer Icarus retelling, and that comes out on the 9th of May. Love at First Book by Jen McKinley. This is a contemporary romance set in a bookshop, comes out on the 16th of May. I feel like this is one that I might pick up if I am really in the mood for something like that, because I love a good book about books, but I don't really reach towards romance, so if I ever feel like I'm fancying it, I might go for that one. Evocation by S.T. Gibson, which is an urban fantasy with a family curse, and this comes out on the 28th of May. The Voice of the Wretched by Kester Grant. This is the sequel to The Court of Miracles, which is a Les Mis retelling, and this one comes out on the 6th of June. Sleep Like Death by Kaylin Bayron, which is a YA Snow White retelling, and that one comes out on the 25th of June. The Sky on Fire by Jen Lyons, and this is a fantasy heist coming out on the 9th of July. And finally, we have got Silverborn by Jessica Townsend, which is the next book in the Morrigan Crow series, which is a really lovely fantasy series. I read book 1. I never continued with the series, not for any particular reason, I just didn't, but book 1 was really good, and I think it's a really fun middle grade fantasy series, and this one comes out on the 12th of September. That is all of the books that I have got to tell you about today. There was quite a lot, over 30 books, but I hope that you've got some recommendations and some books to add to your wish list and pre-order. No doubt there'll probably be some kind of like double points thing with Waterstones again coming on at some point soon. I do actually have an affiliate link for Waterstones if you ever want to use it. Basically, by using it, you just earn me a small amount of commission from any purchases that you make, but it costs you absolutely nothing. So it's just a nice, easy way to be able to support creators if you're already going to be shopping on the website, and that is linked down below. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you've enjoyed. Do let me know if there's any that I haven't mentioned that you want to recommend. Leave a comment down below. I did try and collate as many as I possibly could, but obviously there's always probably going to be ones that slip between the cracks, and I'll probably kick myself about some big ones that I'm excited about that I completely forgot to include. Thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you so much for watching this Vlogmas series so far. You have 2 more Vlogmas videos to come your way. Thursday's one, the one that comes out on the 21st, has a giveaway at the end of it, so there's a little bit of an incentive to come back, hit the bell, hit subscribe, do all of those things. I actually recently learned that the very best way that the YouTube algorithm determines success of a video is by satisfaction. So that is kind of measured by, if you finish watching this video and then go watch some of my other videos, that is classed as satisfaction because you've enjoyed my content enough to go view others. So on that note, I've got a whole series of Vlogmas videos if you want to go check them out. I have other videos outside of Vlogmas. I have travel content, I have lots of book recommendations, I have reading vlogs, I have all sorts of things. It is all on my channel, and I would really appreciate it if you go checked it out. Of course, another massive thank you to my patrons for your constant support. It means the absolute world to me. Thank you so much everyone for watching. I will see you in the next one.